The wall clock's relentless ticking echoed through the sterile, fluorescent-lit room. Each second passed with a mechanical precision, a cold reminder of time slipping away. It hung high on the whitewashed wall of the execution chamber in the Alabama State Prison, its face unassuming, round and plain, with black numbers and hands moving steadily toward the inevitable. John Whitmore lay strapped to the gurney, his wrists and ankles secured with thick leather restraints. His breathing was slow and measured, but there was a heaviness in each breath, a weight that grew with every tick of the clock. The room was quiet, save for the ticking and the occasional shuffle of the guard's boots on the linoleum floor. His eyes, tired and bloodshot, fixated on the clock. 11:54 p.m. 6 minutes left. The hands moved with the same indifferent regularity they had shown for the last hour, the last day, the last week, each second bringing him closer to the final moment. He had heard the rumors when he first arrived on death row. The stories of the clock in the execution chamber, how its ticking was the last thing every condemned man heard before he took his final breath. Some said it was haunted, that the souls of the executed were trapped within it, doomed to keep time for the next man who would die. He hadn't believed it then. But now, as the seconds marched forward, he wondered if maybe they had been right. 11:55 p.m. He closed his eyes, trying to block out the sound, trying to focus on something else, anything else. He thought of his mother, long gone now, who had held him close when he was a boy, who had told him to be good, to do right by people. He thought of the friends he had lost along the way, the bad decisions, the anger that had led him here. He thought of the victim's family, the mother who would never see her daughter again because of him. 11:56 p.m. The door to the chamber opened with a low creak, and the warden stepped in, followed by the prison chaplain. They were men who had seen this ritual many times before, their faces expressionless, their eyes not meeting his. The warden gave a small nod to the guard by the clock, who checked his watch, synchronized with the ticking hands above. 11:57 p.m. The chaplain began to murmur a prayer, his voice soft and distant, like a breeze moving through leaves. Whitmore barely heard the words, his thoughts too loud, his heart pounding too hard. The chaplain's voice was drowned out by the ticking, each second cutting through the air like a knife. 11:58 p.m. The executioner stood by the table, ready, waiting for the signal. Whitmore felt the cold sweat on his brow, his pulse racing. The clock, unfeeling, kept moving forward, each second counted down with merciless efficiency. 11:59 p.m. The warden nodded to the executioner, who stepped forward, his gloved hand moving toward the syringe. Whitmore's chest tightened, his breath shallow and quick. The ticking was louder now, a deafening roar in his ears, the final countdown. Midnight. The clock's hands came together at 12, the ticking stopped. The syringe plunged into his arm, and as the darkness crept in, the last thing he heard was the silence that followed the final tick.